Yes. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is amazing. You know, I wish I had a GameCube controller for this. But not just any GameCube controller. No. I want a GameCube controller that is also a Pro controller. That would be great. Now, I sit here stroking my beard with my game paused, of course. I don't want to lose after all. Just wondering if there's just somebody out there that can make something like that for me. A man can only dream. And oh, holy shit, did my dream come true. Hello there, you beautiful bastards and bastardettes. Corinthius here, and I hold here in my hot little hands the Nintendo GameCube style Pro controller for the Nintendo Switch. And it is a Pro controller. It has all the Pro controller fixings. You'll notice so you have a button here, you got the sticks here that actually click. But before we get ahead more into that, I want to talk about this controller briefly before going into more detail. This is made by PowerA. They make third-party controllers. They've made some good ones in the past. Actually, I have a controller, come on, right here. Another Nintendo Switch Pro controller that they did. This is a wired controller. This has no wireless capabilities whatsoever, but they do have a little USB port right here, so storage is at least not an issue. And one thing you'll notice is that the control sticks are fucking gigantic on this one, and I'm not a huge fan of this one, but it is a well-made, sturdy controller, though it does not have rumble or gyro capability. So this is like a $25 controller, so it can excuse not having those features. But if you need those features like I do, you might want to go with something a bit more pricey. But and they also made some Xbox One controllers in the past as well. I have not seen any PlayStation 4 controllers from PowerA, so maybe that'll be in the future. Well, anyway, this is the GameCube style Pro controller, and like I said, clicking. It's got gyro capabilities. It's wireless, and also it has no rumble. This is kind of a running theme with PowerA from what I've experienced. Well, and also it takes see here, 2 AA batteries. Yeah, that's weird. In 2018, there are controllers being made that take batteries instead of having rechargeable batteries. And it's not like the Xbox One controller where you can just put a rechargeable battery in there. And look at that, because there's no USB port of any kind anywhere on this controller. So that is a bit of a letdown. But it is $49.99, $50, but thing is, this is a really hard item to find because everybody's fucking wanting these things. Wavebird 2.0 basically. And I got mine, luckily, and the guy that was supposed to get this controller right here, he didn't show up in the 2 days that GameStop allows for items to be held, so I ended up getting this hot little beauty instead. Last one that they had, and another shipment probably wouldn't come for another week. I mean, I am so glad I actually managed to snag one of these bad boys, because this controller is fucking amazing. But before I get further into this, I want to talk a little bit about the original GameCube controller and what made that particular controller so great, and also compare the two of these right here and see which one is truly superior. Okay, so I have right here the original GameCube controller right here. Even though I don't own a GameCube anymore, I still kept the controller around because that's just how much I love this controller. Just hoping I would get another opportunity to use it. Now, why are GameCube controllers still being made and used in 2018 on consoles that are not even Nintendo GameCube? Well, the thing is about the Nintendo GameCube controller is it just fits so goddamn perfectly in your hands. Everything's where it needs to be. The grips are perfectly sized and angled. The button, I love the buttons. I gotta talk about the buttons here. You got the little itty bitty B button, you got the X button, you got the Y button up top. It's a bit of an unconventional setup for buttons, which I'll get more into later on. And then you got this big giant glorious fucking A button. If I had to pick my favorite controller button of all time, it would be the A button right here. Whether it's that you're smashing some motherfucker in Smash, you're rolling around on an island in Wind Waker, hitting your head on a building, or if you're jumping around in Super Mario Sunshine, well, that A button right there does the job beautifully. It's big, it's striking, it wants you to know that it's there in your thumb, just so perfectly ready on the A button. Oh, and these sticks are not, well, the C stick wasn't all that great, but we adapted to it. And yes, these the L and R buttons right here are also really nice. Your fingers just go perfectly over the buttons here. I hesitate to call them triggers because they're not really triggers. They're kind of, you know, buttony here. And also you'll note, of course, the original GameCube controller only had one shoulder button, not two, which was weird because Xbox and PlayStation 2 controllers had that. They were both very similar in terms of functionality, which made some third-party games on the GameCube a little more challenging to play, since the controller was a lot more limited than its competition. Let's see. Also, I think I pretty much covered it. It's just extremely comfortable, perfect for playing Smash Brothers. I love the buttons. This little C stick makes playing shooters a bit more challenging than it would on other consoles at the time, but we got around to it. And the D-pad is also really small for whatever reason. That's another weakness of this controller. The D-pad is not good. Now, granted, it was still better than the Xbox's D-pad. I mean, Xbox is just now starting to get D-pads right with this console generation, because the original Xbox and Xbox 360's D-pad, worthless. So, yeah, at least the Nintendo GameCube wasn't alone in crappy-ass D-pads. It was just the fact that the PlayStation 2 has had the perfect D-pad since day one, and it still has the perfect D-pad to this day. But yeah, that's the long and short of it, really. Now, let's go ahead and compare the two controllers, shall we? Okay, so now I have both controllers right here, ready to be compared. Now, I already went over some of the differences between the two controllers, like the extra button right here, clicking analog sticks, and also motion capabilities. But there are a couple of other things I want to talk about with this new controller here. Notice that the D-pad on the new one is a lot bigger than the one on the original GameCube. And also, this one is made of a hard rubber as opposed to straight up plastic on the original GameCube controller. I do like this more because your fingers won't slip nearly as easily, and it just feels a whole hell of a lot nicer. And also, you notice the original GameCube controller only had one button for start pause button, that's what it's labeled as. But on the new one, you got 4 buttons. You got the plus and minus buttons, which is basically start and select on the Nintendo Switch. But you also have the capture and home buttons on the bottom right there, and also a little player number indicator on the bottom here, and a Nintendo Switch icon on the controller face right there. And also, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about with this: the angling of the handles on the controller. This is something that a lot of people don't really talk about, but it's important. It's the same reason why I don't really like the Xbox One controller too much, because the angle on the controller is a bit too steep, and it makes handling the controller really weird. And I did experience this same thing with the new GameCube controller. Because yeah, the angle on this is absolutely perfect. That's part of the reason why this is just fits so beautifully in your hands, man. Oh man, I'm getting a stiffy just from holding this damn thing. Well, anyway, on the new one here, the handles seem to be pushed a bit further inwards, or the top here has just been pushed outwards. I can't really tell which. I did do side-by-side comparisons, but I can't really tell. Well, anyway, it does feel a little weird, and it does take some getting used to, but once you get used to it, you'll not really think about it too much. Now, Also, as far as using this controller with other games, that's part of the reason why I got it, because the original game, the Smash controller for the GameCube Switch is, well, a straight-up GameCube controller, and I think you can just plug it into your GameCube and it'll work just fine, as far as I saw anyway. But this one's strictly for the Switch, and you may be able to use it on PC. I'm not 100% sure on that. But, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? Huh. Oh, right, the buttons. Yes, I was gonna talk about the buttons. The button layout is a little weird compared to the, let's see, Pro controller right here. I'm gonna show you the Pro controller button layout first. So you got the A button, the X button, the Y button, and the B button. Now, why is this important? Well, here you got, let's see, the A button right here, the big green one, X, Y up top, and then B in the bottom. Some very different setups for the button layouts, and for some games this can be very confusing. Like in Breath of the Wild, Zelda Breath of the Wild. No, that's the controller I got right here. It's beautiful. But anyway, you use your sword with this button here, you sprint with this button here, you jump with this button here, and you interact with stuff with the A button right here. Now, a little different on the GameCube, the A button right here for interacting with stuff, sword button right here, and also about the Y button. I think they raised the Y button a little bit on the other one because it feels a lot higher than it usually does, and that's why using the Y button for a lot of stuff works. I mean, it makes fishing in Stardew Valley a hell of a lot easier, I've experienced. And I also got the X button right here. The layout's different, and it's going to take some getting used to, but it does work with most Nintendo Switch games. It just takes, the button layout just takes some serious getting used to. I mean, it works awesome for Warframe, it's okay in Bayonetta too, but for other games like Okami, it's a total mess, and you may as well just play with the Joy-Cons or a regular Pro Controller for those anyway. It's just easier if you've already been acclimated to the control scheme for here, which I'm pretty sure a lot of Switch owners are already. But yes, that is the long and short of it for the Nintendo Switch GameCube style Pro Controller. It is amazing. You should totally go out and buy one if you can fucking find one. If you find one, do yourself a favor and snag it. And no, not for scalping, you pigs. Do not scalp these controllers. There are kids and man-children out there just waiting for this controller to be under their goddamn tree for Santa to get there, and if Santa doesn't give us the controller, we're gonna cry! But not me, because I got mine. Ha 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 ha. Well, this is an awesome controller. $50 for this one, and this one right here, if you're looking for a cheaper controller, 25 bucks right here. A very good deal considering how well built and sturdy this damn thing is. It's really nice. Control sticks are a bit weird, but it's like just saying you'll get used to them. And also the triggers are doesn't take as long to press them down. So if you're playing something like Warframe or Fortnite, then this will be the controller for you, definitely. Like I said, shooter's not so good with this one, so if you're a Fortniter, then you might want to look somewhere else. Well, anyway, that is what I wanted to do for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any comments, you know what to do. But until next time, goodbye, you beautiful bastards and bastardettes, and you all take care of yourselves.